number 3. Ladies and gentlemen, as an emerging superpower, India has not only cemented its position globally, but has also made its stand on the crucial diplomatic issues crystal clear. When it's about the nation's interests, India won't ever back down.
And that is exactly what India has again and again reiterated. Remember the unequivocal message, India first. So when Donald Trump's America thought that it could fully arm twist India and get away with its tariff threats, it didn't possibly expect a hit back, Sucharita, but that is exactly what has happened. In a fresh round of talks that were held in the national capital, our Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal is ruling down a total climb down here. This is a quick check of what we are talking about, and then we debate.
On the debate tonight, India holds its ground against Trump. The American president has been on a tirade against India.
And all we're saying, if you're going to charge us 150%, we're going to charge you 150%. And what will happen in many cases is we'll both charge each other nothing.
From news conferences to Twitter, protectionist Trump believes India has been tough on America.
Actually, during that meeting between Prime Minister and President Trump, as I mentioned, that we are looking forward to resolve those issues. We are looking forward to towards a constructive engagement with the US in these matters. Many of these issues are technical in nature, you see, in terms of tariff, etc. And those issues, we will have to kind of just wait and see today and how they are addressed.
On Friday, the US delegation met Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal. The meeting 4 days after Trump's Twitter tirade on tariffs. As per sources aware of the developments in the meeting, India has not budged, standing its ground on the decision to impose tariffs on US goods. No climb down is on the cards. Protectionist Trump has met his match in protectionist Modi. The tariff game is on. Let's debate.
So if America can say, Saurabh and Sriram, as I quickly say good evening to both of you gentlemen here on the broadcast, why can't India say India first? Sriram, what's the problem with that?
No, Deepthi, we can say it, and we have been doing it. We recently retaliated in June with tariffs of our own against the US. They have, been unreasonable and are demanding, concessions that beyond a point we cannot. So I think Prime Minister Modi has been firm, and it's not, we are not being protectionist. Frankly speaking, as a developing country, we are at a different level, and we cannot be held to the same standards as rich countries. But Trump doesn't accept it, Deepthi. Trump claims that the US is a developing country, which is total hogwash. So I think there is a limit to how far we can go down this line. But we are making some concessions to be fair. We are being reasonable. The trade deficit that Trump rants about, Aditi, used to be over $25 billion in our favor. We had a surplus. Now it is down to $16 billion. In other words, we are buying more American products. And they have also imposed, they have removed the GSP preferences that we used to have before. So it is getting evened out. And, we have, but on e-commerce, on data localization, on patent protection, on medical devices, on dairy products. These are the kind of things on which the US being very aggressive. They want us to remove our agricultural subsidies. There are some things we cannot do because we are developing countries with hundreds of millions of poor people.
US has been aggressive, and hasn't India tried very hard to fight America's unilateral policies? India has been trying very hard to fight those unilateral policies. Then why will India now blink? Why should India now blink?
There's no question of blinking. This is a new India that you're dealing with. The US also realizes that. US President Donald Trump may have tweeted, and I can tell you the backroom story why he did that, because he's under a lot of pressure, and obviously 2020 is election year, and certainly a lot of his donors are some of these companies which have got impacted. So certainly, and obviously the farm, so he's going to do that. But India will do things in its national interest, and I can tell you the talks that happened today between the Commerce Ministry officials and the US trade representatives officials, and also they met Piyush Goyal as well. They made it very clear that India will act in its national interests. It's about, while India wants good relationship with the US, it will not compromise on the basic national interests, which is the larger goal that the Narendra Modi government has been working on. And that's the reason why US is also, by sources
absolutely. And Saurabh, there hasn't been any change, I think, in that stance again and again. I quickly also want to introduce two of our panelists who are joining us on the broadcast now. Puneet Ahluwalia is a political and a business consultant live on the broadcast from Washington. Thank you, Puneet. I also see Ray Locker, who's a strategic and a defense expert, joining us from Washington too. And I think we'll also get in Sri Iyer in just a bit. But to you first, Ray Locker, and good evening, Sri Iyer. Mr. Locker, why has Donald Trump then been flexing his muscle on the social media? Because no one cares. No one cares, I think.
Well, this is what he does. I mean, he's been doing it on trade issues related to Japan, China, India, Latin America. It's how he does business. I think most people who are familiar with this, take it with a grain of salt. They know that this is how he blows off steam. Whether it has any kind of meaning for long-term trade relations remains to be seen. At first, when he was president, he would do this and you would see the markets move dramatically. I think the markets have now factored this in. I think most people that I've talked to here don't understand why it's happening. It's satisfactory to his base because it makes it look like he's doing something. He's standing up for America. And a lot of his supporters believe that America is taken advantage of by countries around the world.
Right. Puneet Ahluwalia, India has had a long field day putting tariffs on American products. That's what Donald Trump has today. I don't understand. Why should he not think, if it's America first for him, it is India first for us. It is India first for the Modi government.
Well, one thing is, if you can all just kind of move away from the Trump bashing and start focusing on what the real conversation is happening in Washington. The important thing is his senior advisor, his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, said they're very focused on U.S.-India trade. USTR has voices frustration and disappointment, but we are very eager to make relationships strong with India. They have reached India to see what the new Modi government is going to put forward in resolving these issues. But if we can move from the negative but look at the positive on the opportunity in numerous fields, and see that both countries need each other. We are reliable partners to each other. Otherwise, China is going to eat your breakfast in the next 20 years to 50 years. They're all around you. And what makes China strong is economy and strong infrastructure they have.
Apologies
India
that I come in here.
Who is the most reliable partner in the world?
Do you even concur with that view? Mr. Iyer, do you even concur with that view? Because can the US actually afford to lose India as a trade partner today, looking at the kind of trade volumes that we've seen over the last many, many years?
We shouldn't look at just the trade with the United States. We have to look at the bigger picture. I think India needs to be able to try and include the defense cooperation as well as trade, and also the position it finds itself in. I agree with Puneet in that India is ringed by Chinese, and I believe the big sticking point for the United States right now is the fact that India is getting S-400s from Russia, and their argument is that Russia and China are very close now. Therefore, even if India does start using S-400, the information that it needs to safeguard about all its aircraft and other things will eventually find its way into Pakistan's hands, which is really their adversary. So why should India be looking at S-400? Should they not be looking at the United States for that? And the argument that those who like S-400 say is that the equivalent is not there with US, and therefore S-400 is what India really must have. Now, I don't know the technical aspects of this part to tell you that this is better or this is better, but as two large democracies, it helps India to look at US as their ideal partner And also remember that India is a net importer from US. So if there's a tit for tat tariffing happening, then it is the US, it's the US companies that are going to lose out more in the long run.
I think the point that you mentioned,
as opposed to what is happening in the US-China.
To Sriram and to Saurabh. Before I take in Shalabh, I must allow a rebuttal to either Sriram or Saurabh here. Because Sriram, look at this. In June 2019, it's the US that threatened India with sanctions if India continues with the decision to buy these S-400 missiles. But Sriram, India said, yes, we'll do it.
No, Deepthi, the chief of Indian Air Force is on record that S-400 is a game changer and a force multiplier for our defense needs.
Yes.
The argument that it is not compatible is bogus because it is not compatible with American F-35s, which we are not considering right now. You know, we got many other options. So they're trying to basically say, we will deny you F-35s if you go for S-400. And in other words, imposing all kinds of conditionalities that go against our core national security interests. I think we are not going to budge on S-400. Even a NATO ally like Turkey, they have threatened with sanctions, but it has taken S-400. So we are not even a treaty ally of the United States. They better treat us with respect. And frankly, there are elements within the Trump administration that are willing to listen to us. And I think we should reach out to them and cooperate with them. But no question of making a compromise either on S-400 or on Iran or on trade issues, because these are all central to our core geopolitical interests. And we are not going to give up on any of these. It's actually misleading to
when you
say
say that they need to treat us with respect, let me take that across to Shalabh Kumar. Shalabh Kumar, is US really in the position to walk the talk that Trump's been doing on Twitter? Shalabh Kumar?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead. Only comment I have.
Is US really in a position to walk the talk that Trump's been doing on Twitter, sir?
See, first of all this talk, rhetoric has to be toned down. There is too much talk on Twitter. Too much.
In India.
You have Secretary Jaishankar now, Minister Jaishankar, who is totally familiar with what goes on in the United States. And how, he's in touch with the Newt Gingrich and lots of other people. And this whole rhetoric has to be ratcheted down. President Trump is for America first, also for India first. And some other guest here has pointed out that the common problem right now is China, not India. US and India will remain very close partners. There was a time when we visited Chief Minister Modi in 2013. At that point, there was a lot of discussion on what all India needs to buy from United States. And United States was not allowing all this trade. For example, LNG, advanced weapon systems, they were not allowing that.
Okay.
And Chief Minister Modi, and then later on Prime Minister Modi, request.
But Shalabh, I slightly disagree with you, and I want to see if Saurabh also has a similar view. Because, Saurabh, I think for the longest time, America has been trying to have unilateral policies, but not anymore. Because you're looking at India that is emerging as a superpower, and there is a larger consensus when you actually get both Moscow and Beijing.
Absolutely. Deepthi, I must tell you here that America also has to appreciate India's concerns. You cannot have, and Shalabh said himself, President Trump has to be careful while tweeting. He has to really put some control on his tweets, because that sends a very wrong message, and also to public opinion here, because India and the US have a great relationship going. Our relationship is multifaceted, our relationship is deep, and engagement is much beyond trade. There are other areas as well, and the US has to respect India's genuine needs. So whether it's S-400, there are other issues as well where US disagrees with India. So let's, like mature democracies, agree to disagree. That is the thing that Trump administration has to realize, that this is not a banana republic they're dealing with. They are dealing with a new and a strident India. Narendra Modi values partnership with the US, but he will do it at his own terms. He will not be bulldozed or bullied by any country. I can tell you that this is a very new kind of a government here. It's Narendra Modi 2.0. He's somebody who's obviously keeping India's national interest alive at the top of everything. But obviously, in a globalized world, you give something, you take something.
Shri Iyer, the last 10 seconds to you, sir.
I strongly believe.
Do you think that Trump also needs to realize that enough is enough and he's dealing with a new India? Last word, sir.
Well, Trump is not your normal politician. He starts putting out things on tweets as like starting terms for negotiation as a third dimension that India should really look closely at. And that is US needs India's help in managing and administering the transition in Afghanistan, where they want to pull their troops out. India should grab that opportunity and have a deal whereby India can get access to some of the high-tech weapons. If you do that, India's defense import bill will go down. Plus, India gets to be able to find out how best it can help its friend Afghanistan transition into a peaceful democracy. You don't do that, US withdraw unilaterally, then you're going to create a vacuum for the Pakistan and Taliban to move right into Afghanistan, and that is war all over again. Don't do that. I think when McMaster's came calling Nirmala Sitharaman,
I think it will be about
Minister Flatley
it will be about equality. These ties will be about equality. India values its relationship with the US, but it's not going to take everything lying down. It's not going to be bullied because it is the new India. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us on this debate.